Jesus Christ, a unique religious figure who influenced the course of history, but have you ever wondered how the world around him saw him? In this video, we will explore how different cultures spoke about Jesus. How did the Jews and Romans view him? And was there any resonance of him in the cultures of the Far East? We will learn about their views through non-Christian literature and uncover his deep impact on human history. Was he merely a prophet? Or did his influence transcend religions and cultures? Let's discover together. And if you are interested in discovering the historical side of Jesus' character, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel to receive more exciting videos. Jewish testimony. Between support and reservation, beginning with Flavius Josephus, the first-century Jewish historian. In his book The Antiquities of the Jews, he wrote about Jesus as a wise teacher, saying, "At that time, a wise man appeared, named Jesus, if it is right to call him a man." Josephus described Jesus as a doer of miracles and teacher of truth, but these texts sparked controversy. Some believe they were later altered by Christian scribes, yet they remain significant because they came from outside the Christian community. References to Jesus in the Talmud. In the Talmud, one of the most important Jewish religious texts after the Torah, there are references to Jesus, sometimes referred to as Jesus of Nazareth or Yeshua in certain texts. However, the Talmud does not provide a positive portrayal of Jesus. Instead, it shows him as an adversary of traditional Jewish religion, with these texts presenting a debate about his teachings and beliefs that were considered a threat to Jewish religious practices. Described as misleading and claiming prophecy, in the Talmud, Jesus is referred to as a misleading figure, and accusations of deception are leveled against him. One of the most notable references is in the Babylonian Talmud, in the tractate Sanhedrin, where it is mentioned that Jesus claimed to be a prophet, a crime under Jewish law. In these texts, it is said that Jesus used magical methods to deceive people and claim divine abilities to attract followers, which contrasts with the strict Jewish tradition. Relationship with Jewish religious leaders. In the Talmud, it is mentioned that Jesus was in conflict with the Jewish religious leaders of his time. This conflict centered around the interpretation of Jewish law, especially concerning prayer, the Sabbath, and certain religious rituals. One text refers to a trial where Jesus was presented to the court for teachings that were considered heretical by the Jewish religious authorities, and he was judged for distorting the law and teaching things that contradicted it. The Talmud and Passover. In some texts of the Talmud, Jesus is mentioned in connection with the Jewish Passover festival. According to some accounts, Jesus was presented as a sacrificial lamb, and he was called crucified because his teachings conflicted with Jewish law. In the Babylonian Talmud, some texts indicate that Jesus was crucified during Passover, pointing to the disputed events that led to his trial and crucifixion. Other sources. In the Talmud Bavli, specifically in Sanhedrin 43a, Jesus is mentioned indirectly by the name Yeshua, believed to refer to Jesus of Nazareth. He is referred to in the context of discussions by the religious leaders in the high court, and at times, he is sentenced to death for practicing sorcery. Despite the negative portrayal of Jesus in the Talmud, these references undoubtedly affirm his existence in Jewish history and reflect an internal debate within Jewish society about his character and ideas. These Talmudic texts reveal the conflict between Jesus and the religious leadership of his time, but at the same time, they emphasize that Jesus was an important figure who stirred controversy among his followers and those around him. Impact of these references. These Talmudic texts, while critical, show the significant impact of Jesus on Jewish society at that time. They indicate that even the opposition of religious leaders did not diminish the importance of this figure. In fact, the conflict between Jesus and them may enhance our understanding of the spread of his ideas and influence throughout the ages. Do you think the criticism in Jewish literature added to Jesus' impact on the world? Share your opinion in the comments. Roman testimony. Now we shift to another perspective, the view of Jesus from the standpoint of imperial power. Tacitus, the famous Roman historian, wrote about Jesus in his Annals, where he referred to his crucifixion, stating, "Christ, the founder of the Christian sect, was tortured by order of Pontius Pilate in the reign of Tiberius. This Roman testimony highlights that Jesus was well known enough to be mentioned in official records, even though Tacitus was not fond of the emerging Christianity. On the other hand, we find Pliny the Younger, the governor of Bithynia, writing to Emperor Trajan about the Christians who were praying to Jesus as a god. He said, "They were gathering before dawn, singing hymns to Christ as a god." This text shows how the worship of Jesus transitioned from a local idea to a phenomenon that concerned the Roman authorities. Despite the empire's opposition, the influence of Jesus was strong enough to attract attention and challenge the established order. The Far East. Jesus as a symbol of spiritual wisdom. In Persian literature, we find references within Zoroastrian texts to a wise Western figure, known for justice and patience. Although these references may not directly point to Jesus, they reflect the idea of a holy man who suffered for the truth. In Indian literature, there are many myths that tell the story of a Western man who traveled to spread wisdom. Some Indian traditions in these myths echo the teachings of Jesus Christ. In one of our previous videos, we talked about these stories in detail, where it is believed that this Western man carried a message of love and peace, values that align closely with Eastern principles. While the East may not have known Jesus by name, it certainly understood the meanings and principles of his message: love, sacrifice, and the search for wisdom. These values embodied in the character of Jesus resonate with what many cultures in the East, such as in India, believe. He is considered a symbol of suffering, striving for peace, calling for wisdom and tolerance, which are shared values. Comprehensive comparison. The Jews saw him as a controversial teacher, the Romans viewed him as the leader of a sect, and the East referred to him as a spiritual symbol. Each culture viewed him from its own perspective, but the common denominator was the recognition of his immense influence. The question here is, can an ordinary person, or even just a prophet, inspire the entire world despite? Let us know your opinion in the comments. In the end, when we read non-Christian literature, we find that Jesus is more than just a religious leader. He is a universal symbol of suffering, love, and inspiration. In every testimony, whether critical or supportive, we find echoes of his unique personality that transcended time and cultures. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to receive more episodes about the life and teachings of Jesus. And share the video with anyone who might be interested in this topic.